RuneScape has evolved dramatically with game-changing updates that have reshaped how we play. Stick around as I break down 10 major changes that transformed RuneScape forever. Grab a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. For more than 2 decades, the wilderness was RuneScape's most dangerous region, where death meant losing almost everything. But nowadays, RuneScape's wilderness is completely different. One of the biggest shifts in RuneScape history was the partial removal of PvP from the wilderness, as players can now opt in and opt out of PvP as they choose. This was released in August of 2022, but since then a lot of other things have changed. Teleport restrictions are no longer a thing in the wilderness as long as you have PvP turned off. There's new temporary skilling and combat events known as wilderness flash events, and as you've probably noticed, the wilderness has received a massive graphical rework, including lighting, landscape, and textures. The graphical overhaul to the wilderness is far from the only visual change the game has gone through over the past few years, as if you're actively playing, you'll have noticed multiple areas with a new or improved look, and more graphical reworks are on the way. Perhaps one of the biggest changes is how skilling content has evolved over the years. RuneScape skill metas have shifted dramatically thanks to major reworks, new training methods, and even game-changing items that make skilling more engaging and efficient. Outdated methods have been replaced or rebalanced, breathing new life into skills that once felt like a chore. Others were nerfed, and some content was even extended into free-to-play. Some skills have recently been extended to 110, including woodcutting, fletching, mining, and smithing. The Garden of Career update made it possible to plant multiple herb seeds in a single patch, and made auto-pickpocketing once per click a baseline feature for thieving. It also removed the duel arena. Lol. Did I mention you can play with dinosaur poop and make money while gaining fire making experience nowadays? Well, now you know. Rune crafting pouches literally fill from your bank preset now. I mean, come on. We've got new trees, new plank tiers, and even new construction trading methods that will not destroy your fingers. Seriously, you no longer have to risk getting carpal tunnel syndrome just to level up. Now, covering every single skilling change could easily be its own video, so let's move on. If you've ever wondered if bosses need a break from getting farmed all the time, the next update didn't give them any more of a break from players. The War's Retreat, aka the PVM Hub, is one of the most incredible updates to ever grace RuneScape. I mean, what PVMer wouldn't want to refresh their prayer points, load up a bank preset, charge up their adrenaline to the max, and then teleport straight to any boss in the game? It also made some commonly used PVM auras and refreshes available through a currency known as Marks of War, which you get, from killing bosses, and not from Treasure Hunter. And there's also other things such as test dummies to test your rotation and a permanent bonfire boost for whenever you need it. This update completely changed the way players look at bossing. Next up is the Heroes Guild. Wait, I mean today's sponsor, Hero War. This free-to-play online action RPG lets you collect unique heroes, each with special abilities to build your ultimate dream team. The campaign will get you started, but each chapter will get harder and harder, and just picking strong heroes will not guarantee victory. Some heroes are stronger against tanks, while others are fantastic to counter mages. While you're playing, don't forget to upgrade your characters and their skills to then strategically deploy them for victory. If you've already built your dream team, get ready for Peach, a mysterious new hero. Join a 4-week adventure to unlock and upgrade this Guardian exclusively for Hero Wars Alliance players starting on February the 16th. For anyone looking to assemble their dream team for the first time, download Hero Wars from my link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen. Did you know there's a rock on which you can cook food in Edgeville? Yeah, this has nothing to do with the game-changing update, but scattering through rocks and debris does. Archaeology is RuneScape's 28th skill, and it released almost 5 years ago. It added so much landmass to the game for new areas, which Jagex extended upon with new sites such as Sentistan, Orthan, and Daemonheim. It released with some really powerful relic powers for both skilling and combat, and now, or nowadays I should say, we even have archaeology relic presets. It also added Ancient Invention, in which you could use more components to get even better perks for skilling and combat, new familiars for ancient summoning, and even new weapons that still have some relevance today, such as the Trim Masterwork Spear and Inquisitor Staff. Mostly the Trim Masterwork Spear. Because this skill was so easy to build upon, I reckon Jagex might be introducing another new dig site somewhere in the near future. Now, I'm going to combine the next 2 updates because, well, they intended to release at the same time, but they didn't. These 2 updates are the Death Rework and the Max Cash Limit extension, or removal. The Death Rework added a new interface, a way to save items if you double deft called the Overflow Inventory, and made deft costs roughly 80% cheaper. Deaths prior to this update were in the tens of millions, especially for players who brought switches and died items, so it's safe to say that players were really happy when this dropped. Well, maybe less so about the GE tax that shipped with it, but I do think the players were happy with the max cash limit removal. They increased the max cash limit from 2,147 million to, no, not billion, no, not trillion, quintillion. Yep, you can literally buy any item you want on the Grand Exchange nowadays and no longer need to use spirit shards. The new max cash limit is what I would call unachievable. Absolute game changer, especially with how expensive items can get. The only thing I'm missing is a recent trades interface though. I wonder when they'll add that. For years, or literal decades, managing your bank in RuneScape was a nightmare. Items scattered everywhere with no placeholders and no real customization. It honestly hurts to look back at old videos and pictures of RuneScape banks. But with the bank rework, everything changed. To be fair, it did take Jagex years to release it while also shelving it in between, causing a bunch of drama, but it's here now. And it's here to stay. I mean, a game with so many items, especially after a skill like Archaeology with all of those artifacts. Jagex, we could use an artifact bag by now. Come on. Needs a system which has customization and options to make sure all of your items, all of those things you have, stay in their place. There's actually a lot that was added through the bank rework. Think item placeholders, probably one of the most important ones, cleanup filters. Yes, you have no excuse to have a dirty bank nowadays. You can reclaim your things from Diango. Loading a bank preset without having full dose potions in your bank, if you've saved it that way, will actually load up the preset with partially filled potions if you have those in your bank. So let's say you've saved your preset with 4 dose potions, but you only have 2 and 3 dose potions, it will load up those instead. This is an update that we definitely take for granted right now, because if it was reversed, people would be so mad. The skill that followed Archaeology, being Necromancy, the 29th skill added to RuneScape, is probably more impactful than Archaeology was. The skill added some quests, new skilling methods such as Necro-Rune crafting, which arguably is really good, and even a pocket slot item that basically does what the Bone Picker does by auto-banking dropped bones. But the biggest impact by far is the combat style itself. It's the most straightforward, fleshed out, and arguably most powerful combat style in RuneScape. Yes, you can say what the best combat style per boss or per method is, and that may not always be Necromancy, but in my eyes, despite changes and specifics, it is by far the strongest combat style overall for the average player. It's good at literally everything. Slayer because it has AoE and sustained healing. It's also good at bossing against single targets with high amounts of HP thanks to solid DPS and massive crits, and it even works well defensively thanks to the Darkness and Bone Shield incantations. And the healing, of course. It's worth noting that Darkness and Bone Shield can also be used with other combat styles. Necromancy was so good that it had a massive impact on the PvM economy, reducing the demand for high-tier weapons, and through players being able to access high-level content more easily than before. You still see the majority of players rocking Necromancy, and that's for a good reason. Every single new bossing update has an impact on the game, mostly thanks to its drops, whether that's through a cape that juices up a style, a new weapon, or perhaps a new skilling item. But there's one thing I can't ignore mentioning in this video, and that's the Combat XP rework, which launched together with the Necromancy skill. This rework didn't only change how XP is gained across all styles, but it also significantly boosted many previously pathetically weak low-level and mid-level monsters. And not just a few, they changed a lot. XP-wise, most XP rates were nerfed by about 50%, if not more, because instead of gaining XP based on a set value, you now would gain 5 XP for every 100 damage you dealt to a target. And as such, there's now a lot more options in terms of experience gain for your combat training, although some of them are not as good as they were before. The next update is kind of related to Necromancy, or happened because of Necromancy, and it's the mini evolution of combat, which brought the other 3 combat styles up to speed to how Necromancy worked in March 2024, about half a year after Necro's release. This included increasing the max hit cap just like Necromancy's, removing hit chance entirely for damage based on your accuracy on target, and improved combat fluidity and ability UI. Personally, I find this pretty important. The final impact update I'm going to cover in this video, and yes, there's more, is Fort Rimfree. Now, existing players will know that this isn't a single update, as it instead was a season of content updates where new quests would add new buildings to the player-owned fortress. This fort is the most laid-back and fast construction trading method in the current meta, requiring only a few clicks per hour to profit off of, albeit at a hefty cost. In addition, the fort is one of the biggest quality of life changes to the game, featuring multiple buildings with remote capabilities for invention, anachronia ports, and more general buffs to existing methods. The town hall functions as an offline bonus XP generator known as the rested system, and inside the botanist workbench you can literally AFK the overload potion creation process. Fort Free is the place to be, and it's also a skilling hub for players to gather and train their skills. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it interesting. If you did, leave a like down below and maybe even consider subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.